Namaste. The mind quickly believes, and you follow your belief on which day you should cut your hair, what to do if a black cat crosses your path, what to do if a certain unlucky person who has been labeled as unlucky, as a bad omen, if he cross your path. So in life you follow many beliefs, and it is these beliefs that keep you away from the real things, from the beautiful things of this life. It is this belief that becomes the cause of your failure. When somebody tells you that you have a Kala Sarpa Yoga, when somebody tells you that you have a Pitru Dosh, it is just a belief. So this belief you go on believing, and then you miss life. You go on missing the many truths of this life. There was a blind man, and he never believed that there is light in this world, because he used to argue. He used to say, I should be able to touch light, I should be able to feel light. So he used to argue because he believed that there is no light, because he was a blind man. And then one day he came across Buddha. And then what happened? It is a beautiful story. It touched my heart. It made me cry. And if you are also a man of heart, if you are also a woman of heart, then you will also feel the beauty of this story. Tune in and let us begin. Yesterday, a young man asked a question. In fact, it was not a question, it was a belief. He said that my horoscope is bad. Certain people told me that your horoscope is bad. It is so bad that it should be thrown in a dustbin. I said to him, you please sit down. No horoscope is bad, and no horoscope is good either. Good and bad is the play of the mind, and the mind is a monkey. Always remember, truth can be very shattering. It is the truth that there is no good, no bad, that nothing is right and nothing is wrong. Everything is as it is. All condemnation and division is futile. Always remember, you are the child of God, and God loves you. I can understand how you would have felt when you were humiliated by people who said that your birth chart, your horoscope is bad, very bad. But don't worry, such men and women are fast asleep, and those who are asleep cannot help you with the truth. And the truth is that every kundali, every horoscope comes with a certain purpose. Something has to be done. Some unfinished business has to be finished. You are not born accidentally. The universe has a purpose to be met through you. So then, how come you become useless? How can anybody call you useless? How can you become bad? How can your horoscope be labeled as bad? Bhagwan Raman Maharshi says, there is nothing wrong with God's creation. Mystery and suffering only exist in the mind. Good or bad is totally based on situations. If a knife becomes your shield and you can save yourself, protect yourself, then the knife becomes your savior. And if the knife is used to harm you, then the same knife becomes your killer. Now, if you ask me whether a knife is good or bad, then the answer is impossible. A conscious person would never label anything or any person as good or bad. He is perfectly aware that it all depends on what purpose is. If the purpose is good, then even a knife becomes God. Once it happened. A young man, and what a man he was, simple, hardworking, and always helpful to all the people of his village. One day he lost his wife. She died in an accident. After a few days, he lost his daughter. She fell sick and he was short of money. The doctor won't come, and the only daughter that he had took her last breath at midnight when the whole village was fast asleep. She was only 6 years old, and now the young man had to take her dead body all the way to the graveyard, all alone. Now there was nobody in his life. Everything was lost. Everything was gone. People started gossiping. This man must have done many sins in his past life. Some would say, this man must be a curse to our village. And some said, how ill-fated this man is. And slowly, all the villagers started condemning him. They started maintaining distance from him. Now the young man, left out by all, took to drinking. He became a drunkard. And every day he was found with a bottle in his hand, swinging around, walking through the narrow lanes of the village. The villagers decided to kick him out of the village, but they couldn't. The law of the land would not let them do so. And so they all would try by every means and ways to ridicule him, to insult him, to treat him like an animal. And the young man would laugh. He would simply laugh and move on. At times, a few villagers would beat him and he would start bleeding. And yet he would not say anything. He would just slip out and keep moving from one place to the other. One day, it started raining. And the rains were so heavily showering that the village was flooded with rainwater. The rains were not stopping. Many houses were flooded. People became homeless. The crying of the woman, the crying of the children, the havoc all around. And the young man could not control himself. He could not see dying children and the plight of the woman of his village. And so for the first time in his life, he looked up in the sky and said, God, if you stop the rain, I will stop drinking. And that is my word. And the miracle happened. The rain stopped. God said, if by stopping the rains, one good thing is happening, If one man is waking up from his sleep, then it is worth it. And the rains stopped, and the man started crying. He became one of the greatest lovers of God that the world has ever known. The villagers came and said, "You saved our lives. You please stay with us. We will help you in every way we can." But the young man was fired up. He was no more the same. He said, "I am leaving now. The call from the mountains has come. God has chosen me, and my journey has begun." And it is said that the young man went on to become one of the finest yogis that the world has ever known. A man who was condemned, a man who was beaten to bleed, a man who was labeled as mad and bad becomes the finest yogi. Everything is possible. And I say it to all my listeners, everything is possible. Only if your heart is pure, only if you are a man of heart and not of head. People are shallow. The majority is shallow. They are quick to judge. Rarely they can observe, and observation without evaluation is the highest form of intelligence. Always remember, the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. Observe, a very deep word. The yogi only observes, deep observation. The yogi will never label you as mad or bad. He will simply observe you. Through this observation, he may feel sorry for you. He may feel compassion for you. He may try to help you and not condemn you. Compassion will cure more evil than condemnation. But certain astrologers are quick to condemn, quick to label someone as bad, and that is the greatest tragedy of this human world. It is shallow, so shallow that the real yogi is therefore not found in this crowd. He moves as an individual because he is perfectly aware that truth happens to an individual and not to a crowd. Always remember, truth happens to individuals and not to crowds. Your mind is made to believe that your horoscope is bad. Belief is pure poison. Never believe a thing. Experiment, live it thoroughly, so that you can say on your own authority that it is true. Always remember, an intelligent man never believes. He experiments, and then based on his experiments, his own experience, he comes to the truth of the matter. It is his experiences that makes him a real man, an individual who never believes but always experiments and enriches his life with experiences. Belief is disastrous because it closes your mind. Once you believe that cutting your hair on a certain day is bad, then no matter what, you will never cut your hair on that specific day. Now there is no proof of anything bad happening, but just because you have come to believe, you have simply closed your mind. Now even if Jesus comes, Krishna comes, Buddha comes, Mahavira comes, nobody could convince you because you have simply closed your mind by believing that hair should not be cut on a certain day, else God will get angry at you. Now what God has to do with what you do with your hair? There are millions and millions of people on this planet, and God certainly has much better things to do than to watch who is cutting his hair when. But people fall for beliefs, and that is how they go on missing the many opportunities that God brings on. It is necessary to note that if you have a belief and you come against an experience which the belief says is not possible, or the experience is such that you have to drop the belief, what are you going to choose? The belief or the experience? The tendency of the mind is to choose the belief and to forget about the experience. That's how you have been missing many opportunities when God has knocked at your door. There are women who are approached by men who are simply awesome, and yet the women go on rejecting them because they are manglik, meaning they are having a very strong Mars. There are men who are approached by beautiful, well-cultured women, and yet they go on rejecting because they belong to different community, and marriage with somebody who is outside the community or caste is believed to bring miseries to the family. So you see, belief plays a major role in people's lives. They are well educated, but what they follow is belief and not experience. And that keeps them away from the truth, from love, from God. A young man was in love. It happens. Love happens at the most unexpected moment, and you can't help. You just can't. You cannot manage love. It is not politics. And so the young man fell in love. And what a beautiful woman she was. Her glow, her smile, her grace, her soft voice, her understanding. The young man could not stop himself from falling in love. He was a meditative man. He was aware that he is falling in love, but still he could not stop himself. Love is very powerful, more powerful than electricity. And so love blossomed. He fell madly in love with that woman. Love is alchemist. You become what you love. And the woman was a strong believer of astrology. The young man also started believing in astrology. And then one day, something strange happened. The young woman came and she said, "We need to break up." The man was shocked. He said, "What happened? Did I do anything that made you upset? Please tell me. You are breaking my heart." The woman said, "There is nothing wrong with you. In fact, I have been dating with you for the last 10 months and you have been such a gentleman." "Then why are you breaking up?" asked the young man. And the woman said, "Because my astrologer has said that your horoscope is bad. And it is so bad that it should be thrown away in a dustbin." The man fainted. She had to call an ambulance, but that was the only day when she met him. She never met him again. Never. You see, she says you are a gentleman. You have been such a gentleman all the time we were together. Her experience says that the man is a real gem of a person, but it is her belief that overshadows the experience, the facts. The man went into a trauma for the next 6 months until he was finally out of it. It is a myth that it is only women who become victims of love and relationships. The majority is of men who suffer more than women. On this planet, there are more men who take pills at night to overcome their breakup trauma than what the woman does. Belief plays a role. a major role and not the experience. You can easily come out of the belief that your horoscope is bad only when you put aside the monkey mind and start turning inward. Just look inward and you become aware of the truth. Then you don't ask for beliefs. Blind people believe in light. Those who have turned inward have the eyes and they don't need to believe in light. They simply see it. It is said that there was one blind man who believed that there is no light. And he was very good at logic. He was a very logical person. And the villagers were fed up of him because he would argue that to experience light, either he has to feel the light, smell the light, or touch the light. Now light has no smell and you cannot feel the light. Neither can you touch the light. And so the blind man would laugh at them and say, "There is no such thing as light. You all are blind like me and you all are just fooling me. There is no light." The villagers had no answer. But one day Buddha was passing by and the villagers thought that now the moment has come. Only Buddha can answer this blind man. And so they took the blind man to Buddha. They said, "This blind man is a logical man, and through his logic he has been denying the fact that there is light in this world. Now only you can help us. Please help us." Buddha said, "The blind man is right and you all are wrong. What he needs is eyes to see and not arguments. You have come to the wrong person. He needs a physician. Please take him to a good physician." The villagers asked, "Do you know any good physician? Because we don't have anybody in our village who can cure this man's eyes." Buddha said, "You can take him to my personal physician." A great king had provided a personal physician to follow Buddha, just so that he can take care of Buddha's body. And so the blind man was brought to Buddha's physician, and Buddha left the village. After a few months, the blind man's eyes were cured. It was not that he had lost his eyes. It was just some severe infection that had brought a certain blindness to his eyes. And now his eyes were cured. The blind man was no more blind. His joy knew no bounds. The first thing he did was to ask, "Where is Buddha? Where is the man who has given back my eyes? I want to meet him. Please tell me, where is Buddha? Where is the master?" Nobody could give him the address of Buddha because Buddha never lived at one place for more than a month. And so they just showed him the road through which Buddha had walked. That was the only time when they had seen the Buddha walking out of their village. And the man took to the path of Buddha. He searched and searched, and he would ask everybody at every village, every town, "Did you see my master? Did you see the Buddha?" And people would just show him the way. They would say, "That was the road we had seen him walking." For many days and weeks, the man searched until one day, while walking through a forest, he dropped down. He was thirsty, and somebody came from behind. Somebody came from behind and said, "Take some water. You must be thirsty." And the voice moved the man's heart. He remembered the voice. It was of Buddha. The same conviction, the same depth, the same love, the same care. The man turned around and his eyes were filled with tears. He started crying. He couldn't control himself. Looking at the Buddha, he said, "Master, "O Master, I have been searching for you. Look at my eyes. They are yours. They are a gift of yours. How should I thank you? Because of you, I got back my eyes. And to meet you, to share this joy with you, I have been searching you all this while." Buddha said, "Look now, I have come. Now you can relax. Whenever my devotee thirsts for me, I come. My legs move towards those who are deeply in love with me. In deeply who are thirsty for my love, you relax. Now I am with you." And the man relaxed. He relaxed so much in the existence that he went into a trance. He transited the moment Buddha touched him with his presence. The man became one of the greatest lovers of Buddha. And whenever anybody would ask him, "What is the reason you love Buddha?" he would answer in one word: experience. Experience matters, not belief. The man experienced the compassion of Buddha. Buddha provided his personal physician to treat the blind man. And who would offer his or her personal physician to a complete stranger? But it was Buddha's compassion, his love, his grace that moved the blind man. To him, Buddha was godly. And godliness is not something that can be proved or disproved by your logic. Godliness is something that can only be experienced. And so before you start believing that what has been told you is the truth, my appeal to you and through your question to all my listeners is that instead of believing, instead of falling prey to your belief, turn inwards and experience who you really are by being more and more meditative. Discover yourself, otherwise you have to depend on other people's opinions who don't know themselves. Once you become a meditative man, you don't have to rely on what others say about you. Then there is a certain depth to your life, a certain music to your life. Then everything around you is the same, but you are no more the same. Then the noise on the outside remains, but the peace within you remains undisturbed by the noise on the outside. Then you are truly transforming. Then you are in the true sense progressing, growing, for the real growth is the growth within. When your belief drives your life, you become a coward. You become a closed mind. You become fearful. And then this fear compels you to find some support to comfort you. Remember, the more you go on believing, the more you would destroy all the possibilities to live your life to the fullest. Remember, life begins where fear ends. My whole message through this sharing is that focus on your own experiences and drop all your beliefs. Only then a beautiful person within you will evolve. Only then there is a possibility for you all to live a joyous, happy life. And this is what we all are here for, to live a happy life. But it is our ignorance, our beliefs that come in the way. And then you wonder, what is wrong with my life? Nothing is wrong with your life. If at all there is anything wrong, than it is within you. And unless and until you start turning inwards, unless and until you start meditating, you will continue to live your life by relying on others. You will continue to focus on the outside, and you will continue to miss the fact that nothing on the outside can be controlled but only from within. Just watch. Someone today is a friend, tomorrow becomes a stranger. Someone today likes you, tomorrow dislikes you. Someone you have been trusting betrays you someday. You should never rely on that which is on the outside. You have absolutely no control on that which is on the outside. People change, situations change, life goes on changing, people come and go, and there are many who will come and go. You just have to watch by being a witness. Meditation is witnessing. To meditate means to become a witness. Watch from your inner sky and let the clouds float. Become just a watcher and remember, clouds will come and go. You can remain indifferent. Remain indifferent, remain unmoved, and you will be able to do so only when you turn inwards, when you meditate. And so come you all and sit down and meditate. What happens when you start meditating? Millions and millions of thoughts start creating a lot of noise within you. And while all this happens, what you are supposed to do? Witness. Just witness the many thoughts that come to your mind. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to entangle yourself in those thoughts. You don't have to entertain any of those thoughts. You just have to treat all those thoughts as visitors. And visitors should not be served with tea or coffee. And so never entertain the thoughts when you meditate. The very base of meditation is the witnessing. The more you become a witness, the more you will be able to focus on the self without getting distracted by the thoughts. When there are thoughts, it is a distraction. When there are no thoughts, it is meditation, says the greatest spiritual master, Bhagwan Raman Maharshi. The key is to witness while you meditate, and the same key also enables you to overcome the many challenges of material life as well. Bhagwan Raman Maharshi quotes, "One should remain as a witness to whatever happens, adopting the attitude, let whatever strange things that happen. Let us see. This should be one's practice. Nothing happens by accident in the divine scheme of things." How beautiful and deep are these words of the Bhagwan. Always remember that nothing is bad and nothing is good. It is your perception that you go on labeling people as good or bad. In reality, there is nothing that can be said as good or bad. It is your interpretation. You see a flower outside your window and you say, "How beautiful is this flower?" Somebody else who is walking on the road looks at the same flower and says, "Looks like a boring flower, no colors, plain white." Now the flower exists in its own authenticity. It has nothing to do with what others have to say about it or are saying about it. Be like that flower. Be engrossed in your authenticity. And then millions and millions of people may interpret you as good or bad, may label you as good or bad, and yet it will not make any difference to you. You will become a dance, dancing in the breeze, just the way the flowers dance and swing in the breeze. Be a flower, be a dance. Let the belief drop out. Let your experience become your guide. And then the whole universe will be available to you. Then nobody can disturb you. Then you no more remain a limited version. You become unlimited version. Then you start resonating with the higher realms of consciousness. Then you get the wings to fly. And then there is no looking back. The sky is clear and you are ready to fly. Meditate every day. Drop your belief and embrace your experience. So you see, this is how it is. Experience matters and not the belief. It reminds me of an incident. There was a village and it was believed that one should not go to that certain well, to that certain lake, because it was believed that the place is haunted. And then came one of the greatest Saint Jnaneshwar. And he was a young boy, must be around 13 or 14 years old. But he was an enlightened person. He said to the villagers, "Don't fear. Come with me." And he went. He just went there and nothing happened. He started filling the water. He started filling the buckets with water. And the villagers were surprised because for so many years they were not going there. They used to go miles and miles in search of water, when here, close by, water was available. So this is how belief leads to many such painful sufferings. And so, look back into your life. Look into the present moment of your life. It may happen that there is a well, there is a lake nearby, but you are not going there because you believe that it is not good, because you believe that it is not suitable for you. Think over it. Don't follow your belief, follow your experience. And always remember, there are many who follow the scriptures. In fact, there are people who come to me and they say, it is written in the scripture that sun in this house does this, moon in this house does that. And how come you are saying? You see, believe. What has been written in the scripture, they will believe. But what a human being, a alive person, is saying, they will not believe. And this is the tragedy of this human world. This is an irony, that a living person is saying something out of his experiences, but people will not believe it. People will say, you are mad. You don't know. In the scriptures it is written, and you are saying something else. How is that possible? And that is why there is a lot of misery in this world, because people go by their beliefs and not by their experiences. If someone is manglik, if someone is having certain yoga in the chart, they will immediately drop that person. It is a belief. And we should overcome this belief. Only then can we experience the truth. Only then we can experience God in the true sense. Enough for now. Jai Sri Ganesha. Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.